What is going on, everyone? Anthony here, and welcome back to another video here on Let's Talk Resident Evil. And in today's video, we're talking about, well, Resident Evil 9 being potentially announced at the Summer Game Fest, which is happening in just over a week on June 6th, and that starts at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So apparently we are getting some kind of reveal for Resident Evil 9 that may be a trailer that may show off, a little bit more than what we're expecting for Resident Evil 9. And at this point, I think it's long overdue. I think we've just been waiting to see when it's going to be announced, and the date it's actually going to come out as a whole nother thing. But I think we're very curious to see what it looks like, the characters we're going to be playing as, the setting. Everything at this point has just been leaks, rumors, and speculation. So at this point, we just want to see something official, hard evidence of Resident Evil 9. And I think we may get it a lot sooner with this Summer Game Fest. Now, it also can be announced at a State of Play or a PlayStation event this summer. It can also be announced at, the Game Awards later this year. But a lot of signs are pointing towards Summer Game Fest is something you don't want to miss as a Resident Evil fan, especially if you've been covering it or waiting for it like how we've been, just anxiously waiting to see a glimpse of it. The last thing Capcom kind of acknowledged, so to speak, for Resident Evil 9 was in their RE4 celebration video with sales and stuff like that. They had the song, Keep Your Eyes on the Road Ahead, or The Road Ahead, right? So you have Resident Evil 9, you have the 9 potentially on the boards in the middle of the village. We talked about that, right? But it seemed like it was more on the nose of a tease than anything else. So a lot of people are like, oh, you're overthinking it. That's just what it is. But I think Capcom does all this stuff on purpose and for a reason. So I think all of that kind of lines up, leading to Summer Game Fest being the next, big game event of the summer. Of course, you have other events like the Xbox event going on, and all that's going on the same week. But the PlayStation event has yet to be announced and stuff like that. So really, it is either going to be at Summer Game Fest, or it's going to be at a PlayStation event, or a Capcom/RE event, or the Game Awards. And my money is on Summer Game Fest because it has been so long at this point. It's been, since 2021. Literally, May of 2021 is when Village Resident Evil 8 came out, and so we're just waiting at this point. A last major release for Resident Evil was Separate Ways, and that was almost 2 years ago this fall. So I think at this point, we're overdue for some kind of announcement. Now, some people might be bummed out that this is Resident Evil 9 and not a remake, or vice versa, right? But we know Capcom, and we know that they always have multiple things up their sleeves. So I don't think we're going to get a multi-announcement or anything like that. But I do think that just because you see Resident Evil 9 here at the Summer Games Fest in June does not mean that you won't get a remake at some point. You won't get another follow-up to this, mainline remake kind of release that they've been doing. I feel like these next few years of Resident Evil, and going into the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil, we're going to see some interesting stuff play out with those releases. So we don't know when this is going to be released yet, but we just know that an announcement for Resident Evil 9 will in fact be around the corner. So stay tuned for that. Now, you might be wondering, well, what's going to happen with the coverage of this? So this does come out when I'm away in the UK. This Summer Game Fest happens while I'm away. So the Resident Evil Challenge 2025, I might as well talk about it here as well because it is a big deal. I will be over in the UK being a part of the Resident Evil Challenge 2025 edition, which is the biggest challenge yet. We got 4 challengers, 16 games total across all 4 challengers, and we're going to be playing all these Resident Evil games with different stipulations, trying to beat it all within 24 hours. That is literally the next day after this live stream event, this stream event, which at that point over there in the UK, it's not going to start until 10 p.m. that Friday. So basically, we have to get sleep. We have to mentally prepare for that stream. So the plan is that I'm going to have my co-host from the podcast, John, to host a stream that is going to be covering it on basically this side of the States while I'm away in the UK. So I will be live streaming it, but it will just be hosted by John on the channel, and he's going to be watching it and seeing if there's any big reveals and stuff like that. And at that point, the next day, myself and the Resident Evil Challenger team will be filming a video that we can post later in that day or during the challenge and whatnot. So basically, you will be getting live stream coverage next week at the Summer Game Fest right here on this channel. So you don't want to miss that. It'll probably start 4:45 just to get people in here, Eastern Standard Time. So again, it will be covered. I unfortunately will just be away. Now, it's not so unfortunate because Resident Evil will be booming. It will be trending that whole weekend. A lot of people will be talking about it, so hopefully everybody can check out the challenge over on Resident Evil Challenger, which is the YouTube channel we will be live streaming on the challenge, not Summer Game Fest itself. We would live stream it ourselves, but we just have way too much to worry about with the challenge looming over us and so much to get ready for. So we're going to shoot a video the following day for both of our channels that we can both upload, and it will just be, you know, more streamlined that way. So we'll still be covering some Resident Evil 9 that weekend, even though I'm away and doing other Resident Evil activities as well. So it's going to be a Resident Evil filled week if all this stuff lines up how we're expecting it to. Now, if there is no announcement at the Summer Game Fest and it was just a bunch of BS and we have to wait for another event, well, then we don't worry about it. It's just business as usual. If it's a crappy event, it's a crappy event. But my fingers are crossed here that this will actually happen. We'll finally get some kind of reveal to dissect, to talk about, to break down. It's going to be an exciting time on the channel, guys. The road to Resident Evil 9 is right around the corner. So we're going to be covering it, trying to, you know, obviously grow as much as possible during this time. So that's why, even though I'm away, I'm going to try my best to make sure you guys get a live stream. You know, me and the other team at Resident Evil Challenger get a video out to everybody on my channel, on their channel. It's going to be a good time to be a Resident Evil fan once again. You know what I mean? When we have all this stuff coming out that's going to be, you know, benefiting all of our channels, we're going to be discussing it. It's something new to talk about. And I think that's what's always fun, is like seeing what we like, seeing what we don't like. You know what I mean? If we feel mixed about it, like these honest reactions is something that I think a lot of people return to our channels for. And it's just not like cookie cutter, you know, BS. We're just telling you straight to the point how we feel about it. If anything, you know, piques our interest as far as, you know, things are changing or things that they're, you know, changing for the worse or the better, you know, we're going to be honest about it. So yeah, that's the plan for Resident Evil 9, and we'll see if, you know, Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest will be the one that finally gets the announcement, because everything at this point has been, you know, rumored that this is going to be the one, this is going to be the event, and this one has been a lot more rampant than the other events where we've heard these rumors. You know, it seems to be a lot more active that, you know, RE9 will in fact be here. So we'll see what happens, guys. Keep our fingers crossed. Like I said, even though I will be away, we're still going to cover it for you guys. And like I said, don't forget to check out the Resident Evil Challenger event over on Resident Evil Challenger. I'll put the link down below. And that's going to be on June 7th, literally the following day at, I think, noon in the UK. So it's going to start around like 7 or 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's just going to go for the full 24 hours. So yeah, it's going to be a huge weekend. A lot of cool stuff to talk about if that's the case. Again, if there is no RE9 announcement, it's still going to be a massive Resident Evil weekend for the channels. So that's it, guys. So keep our fingers crossed. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and stay tuned and stay locked in for any Resident Evil news right here on LTRE. And we'll catch all of you in the next one. Peace out.